Let's talk about a big story that's been going on for a couple of weeks now in this country. The Department of Justice lawsuit against Live Nation and Ticketmaster may be dominating the headlines, but what does it mean for you? That ultimately is the question. The consumer, ticket prices, the future of live events. Here to talk with us about this is LiveOne CEO Ellin. Rob, good to see you, sir. So let's first go back to the fundamental question that we've asked many people here. Is Ticketmaster Live Nation a monopoly, and should they be broken up?
It's a tricky question, right? You obviously have AEG out there as a competitor, but when you control a dominant piece of the talent, the tickets, and the venues, right, it's very hard to compete. And we've been partners with Live Nation and had a great run with them. We streamed EDC from Mexico, from China, from Japan, and it was an amazing partnership. At the same time, we had a music festival called Spring Awakening in Chicago, and just became, once they entered the market, it was absolutely impossible to compete with them. So I think it's difficult for small operators to compete in this space.
What would a breakup of these two companies mean directly for your company?
For our company, it may give us the opportunity again to re-enter the market of live events, of Spring Awakening, and for live events like that it becomes a fair, competitive process, right, to be able to go out there and do that. From the other side of it, from a live streaming, which we've been one of the largest live streaming platforms, I do think that there are huge opportunities for us. That if there are more independent festivals, right, and more independent parties doing these, it will give us an opportunity to have a fair market share and to have fair pricing to be able to do that.
By how much would you be able to charge more due to a breakup?
I don't know yet. That's a really tricky question that I don't think anybody knows the answer to until they see how that really plays itself out, right? But certainly I think that we've shown that we can produce independent shows way less expensive than we can for Live Nation shows.
So let's just say they are broken up. How would it allow, if Ticketmaster is operating independently, how would it allow the secondary ticket market to compete more freely, and how would it bring fees and prices down, if at all?
I think it certainly would bring prices down. When you dominate all three pieces and you dominate, right, talent, venue, right, as well as tickets, right, it's hard to compete with that, right? And it's hard to really fight pricing on that. And I think as we enter a different economy, and I believe we will, right, the cost has become so prohibitive to go to these events. It's gotten so expensive. I see it for my own kids, right, how expensive it is to go to these events. So I do think that it'll bring costs down.
How much do you think consumers could save?
I don't know, 10%, 20%. There's got to be a real number there.
A double-digit percentage gain for customers. It sounds like, Rob, based on what you're telling us, that you do support a breakup.
I don't know that I can say that. I'm not smart enough to really understand all the dynamics of this, but I do believe that pricing needs to change in order to be able to support where the economy is heading.
The issue many people have with pricing is two things. It is fees, and people have really targeted Ticketmaster in that regard. Some say fees north of 40% on their website. And the other thing is the secondary ticket market, which is not Ticketmaster. People get on any number of websites and they're paying $2,000, $3,000 for Taylor Swift tickets. What I can't quite reconcile is how a breakup impacts the secondary market, number one, and are there fees in line with others in the industry?
I think what's happened is talent has taken part of those tickets now to try to give the consumer, right, a better pricing, right? There's a lot of talent out there that doesn't want to see people paying $2,000 and $3,000 when they're not even the beneficiary of it, but they're also their fans and their super fans are paying such a high price. So I think it's going to be. I think that you're going to see more and more of that. That you're going to see talent fighting to supply their super fans with a fairer price for tickets.
Are those fees, though, that Ticketmaster charges in line with others in the industry, including yourselves?
Yeah, we're not really anymore in the live itself where we're competing with them directly on it. So it's not really a fair answer on that. that. But I would say the cost of their fees are expensive.
We've talked about what this could potentially mean for the consumer, for your company, a publicly traded company, and you mentioned the talent, Rob, as well. How does this impact the talent?
I mean, I think again, so much of this, the cost of these tickets, right? The talent, the talent, and especially the smaller talent, right? Obviously, when you're talking about Taylor Swift, right? She's making a fortune, and she's been so generous to donate that money across the board. But when you look at the rest of it, right, and you look at small venues, and you look at the small to mid-sized artists, they're struggling terribly with it. Right. And, and as you enter, right, you've been in this very robust economy coming out of COVID for live events. As you go into the next level of this, I humbly believe that it's going to be a real struggle for the small to mid-sized artists unless you can price right and you can create some fairness in the market and allow those super fans to own tickets at a fair price.
You brought up the one name that could have real impact in this industry outside the federal government. She's made $1 billion off the Eras Tour. How big a difference would it make if Taylor Swift added her voice to this conversation and wanting to bring these numbers down for her millions of fans around the world?
Well, I think, she's an anomaly, right? We've never seen anything quite like this, right? It's like the Beatles, Michael Jackson, and the Rolling Stones together, right? It's staggering the numbers she's doing. She'd have a dynamic impact, and the more these talent have, the bigger their social media is, the more super fans they have, the more impact they can have on it. And I couldn't be more proud of what she's doing, as a young woman, to be able to sharing that with so many of different partners, the dancers and so on, and the truck drivers and so on. It's really a pleasure to see, and and amazing to see at that age.
Boy, could she change this industry. Just personally got to figure out, have you been to the Eras Tour? Is it worth us spending money to go over to Europe and see it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's magical. It really is. I mean, I watch my brother and his kids, the dynamics of it, like how excited they were for this. I've had calls left and right for people to get tickets, and prices are crazy to get tickets, but it is an amazing tour. It's amazing what she's doing.
Ready for it. We'll leave it there.
We're going to give you a call for some ticks. Rob, good to see you, man. Rob Ellin, the CEO of LiveOne. Appreciate you being here.